Here we go. It's New South Wales.
New South Wales, not biased at all.
And it's not a competition, except I've got realestate.com open right now, seeing which state to move to by the end of today's session. So please make New South Wales proud. I wouldn't like to move unnecessarily.
Well, don't shoot the syllabus, Peter, or the
Okay.
syllabus presenter.
Yes.
All right. Chandra, thanks for putting your hand up for New South Wales. Shall we start the timer?
Go for it.
All right, you're on.
Alrighty, this is a brand new syllabus for many music teachers in New South Wales. It actually starts being implemented next year. However, a lot of schools are starting to do it this year, and my school, we've kind of been dabbling with it, my school being me, since I'm the only music teacher in this school. But it's quite different to the previous one, so it's a little bit different to get your head around it. And the way that it is laid out is very different as well. So I've got a Google Doc version of it, but you can get it on the curriculum side of New South Wales, and it is similar to that ACARA, that it's all hosted on an online platform now, and you can click your tabs that way and choose whether you want to download part of it or the entire thing. So I'm just going to kind of go through a few different areas that I've in this syllabus, because it's quite a large document. We're quite a bit lucky. I do remember back when the Australian curriculum was being rolled out and New South Wales was like the stalwart people going, no, we will not have it in music. We will not have it in visual arts. And it is because of this one thing here that everyone was up in arms about, and that is our course requirements. So to meet the mandatory curriculum requirements in New South Wales for music, everybody in year 7 and 8 has to do 100 hours of music in year 7 and 8. Now, in some schools, this can be a continuous throughout year 7 and 8 at a particular time per week. Like, for example, at my school, we have 4 periods of year 7 in a cycle, so they're 2-week cycles, so 2 lessons a week. And in year 8, we have 3 lessons over 2 weeks, and that's for the whole year. But I've also been at schools where they do semesterized units. So they do about 50 hours a year, and they do 50 hours a semester for year 7 and 50 hours a semester for year 8. But that does open up a little bit more for us and a little bit more flexibility in terms of the skills that we can implement in year 7 and year 8. And in addition to that, a lot of schools that I've worked at also have elective options in year 8, kind of like taster courses for the kids to kind of pick and choose which electives they want to do in year 9. And so you can get a little bit more music out there as well. So it is a bit of compliance that you have this. And obviously by the time you get to term 3, term 4 in year 8, there are some people pushing against the bounds of having to do music. But there's a lot of flexibility in our document for this reason. And there's a lot of ways that people can access it. So I'm going to skip to the rationale so we can see what New South Wales says about that. So there's a lot of really good things here in this new updated syllabus. It's all about continuity and change, connecting cultures, times and regions. Students develop a deeper understanding of music. They draw on histories, practices and technologies and personal experiences to perform. I like that I don't really have a system in my highlighted colours. It is really just random. So don't read anything into the colours. Green, I definitely liked. So I liked that in terms of developing literacy, it's musical literacies through singing and playing instruments and improvising and composing, through reading notations, recording, analysing and appreciating music. All of it is very much an integrated way of learning, which all of us, I'm sure, are 100% on board with. Engagement with the expressive cultural and aesthetic value of music enriches students' musical understanding, supports them to appreciate music more deeply, enhancing creative thinking and expression. So there's a lot of this aesthetic kind of value put on this, but also in terms of educating the whole person, they're really emphasizing, the effective cognitive, psychomotor, personal, social competencies that are explored through the study of music. I like that side of it. The aim of it, we've got a couple of smaller dot points here. It enables students to develop musical knowledge, skills and literacies for active engagement, experience the creative process, which I like very, very much because it really does lean into more of this, let's experiment as much as possible in the classroom, and develop a lifelong sense of wonder and curiosity about and engagement with music. which is just beautiful. When would you ever say a syllabus document is beautiful? But there are certain things that are really, really lovely about this. There's a certain caveats with this, and that's the repertoire requirements. So in each stage of learning, we need to kick these 5 kind of broad areas. However, they don't need to be represented proportionally in teaching. So it's really up to the teachers how much they want to focus on one specific stream of repertoire. And you can do it all within the context of, one topic. You can hit like 3 or 4 different areas of repertoire as well. The other thing on here that I wanted to point out, which Chris also showed in his document as well, is the different ways that they recognize notation. And it's not just about the typical Western notation, that it's about documenting music digitally, pre-notation, graphic notation, notations drawn from global music cultures, braille, scores, charts, leadships. There's so many opportunities here for diverse learners to really find ways to notate what they're writing and what they're composing, what they're improvising without needing to have that hefty study of musical language in Western art traditions going on very, very quickly. We also have this balance of content section, which I think is a really nice touch that New South Wales has, which really just explicitly says that the content that we have is not necessarily indicative of the amount of time spent on class. So there's no 10 hours need to be on this, 10 hours on that. It's up to the teacher to make their professional judgment in terms of understanding their students and the time they need to demonstrate expected outcomes. And it's nothing hierarchical about how our content is grouped. I should also, before going any further, because I probably skipped over that a little bit, but the way that we have it, we have our 3 areas: performing, listening, and composing, through the idea of music in practice, music in context, and the elements of music. In reality, yes, you can have music in practice and in context, but it's all just so embedded within music making that, to me, the reading of this is document. I'm looking more towards creating activities that encompass all of those things rather than one aspect of that curriculum specifically. All right, so this is where there was a lot of discussion about this as this was being drafted. There's a lot of outcomes in this syllabus, a lot of content points. However, a lot of it can be really broad, can be really interpreted in a lot of different ways. You've got the particular requirements of this syllabus, like the repertoire, the outcomes, and having 100 hours. But the openness is your choice of repertoire, the balance of outcomes and the content, and how much you want to emphasize on one specific content point versus others, the sequence in which you do things, and how you choose to assess things as well. So I highlighted a few things as you went through, because there's a lot of kind of stipulations of how to do it. I recognize Chris was talking as well about the ICIP, which we've got in our syllabus now as well. And again, that's going to be a learning experience for a lot of people, but even just twiddling around with our syllabus programs at the moment, it can be kind of hit fairly quickly in including local musicians to come in and do workshops with the kids talking about it. It's exactly the same kind of ethical ideas I find when we're talking about sampling music and honoring the owners of the original creators of those tracks. So that's kind of how I'm viewing it, and how the students at my school are starting to talk about intellectual property when it comes to either cultural property or just the, individual property of sample focus areas. Here we go. This is our broader statements when it comes to performing activities, listening activities, and composing activities, which we can do throughout this syllabus. The things that I've highlighted are the ones that I really think that's the thing that's going to be creating authentic music making: experimenting, interpreting. Listening is developed through interaction with a wide range of musical genres and styles. So really pushing the envelope with kids, but also that it's integrated with how they are reflecting on their own performances, reflecting on their own improvisations, engaging and experimenting with a wide variety of media and technology. Yeah, it's a big document.
The gist of it there. Thanks, Chandra. As we go, that idea of just looking for opportunities for the sorts of things that we as a community have been jamming on and that we value. And as one of our commenters said, there's lots of wiggle room for you to do good work in there, and for you to adapt and adopt, and using pedagogical reasoning, pedagogical judgment. And just so cool to highlight those words and see them jump out. So thank you. Pete, thoughts?
Yeah, I liked how you put on some glasses there, some fresh glasses about the performing, listening, composing, and how they're all embedded with each other. And that resonated with us and how we approach music making as well. Not necessarily cornered it off in this is a listening opportunity, this is a composing opportunity, this is a performing, but actually thinking of them as integrated is something that was in the former syllabus, and we can kind of see it in a similar fashion in the new syllabus. So that's exciting. And this stems out of 2 reviews that everyone got to have. And the first one was not so much like that. And so we had to pull it back a little bit as a community of practitioners. What we're seeing now is from 2 reviews. So hopefully that's more in line with what everyone actually valued in the year 7 to 10 syllabi.